Welcome back, my Warhammer fans. Welcome to my first Warhammer Let's Discuss video. And in this video, we will be discussing the brand new update that just came out today, May 27th, 2021. And I was looking at this update, and I thought this update would be not only perfect, but also because this update is so drastic that I thought it was the perfect opportunity to make my first, I can say, mini-series maybe, depending on how much you guys like this video, to discuss the new update that just came out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it is huge, and will drastically change how many players strategize in war section. We're gonna start seeing whole brand new tactics with this update. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now the first part is the general. We're gonna start with the general. We're just gonna go down the list. General, early Asia got a new unit, the hand ram. If you were looking at my previous video, you're gonna see the little ram ram unit. It looks pretty cool. Although it has very low health, I noticed that it had very low health and it could easily be taken down. But again, its purpose is to act like as a mini siege unit. Next, we have a second industrial revolution. Got a new unit, the anti-aircraft car. And I haven't seen it, but I was looking in the War Section Discord, and I saw the little picture of it, and it looked pretty cool. Now, I would say this is really big because before, the only country that had the anti-aircraft car was Russia. It was the only unit that had a mobile anti-aircraft unit. And to add in a whole new anti-aircraft car, well, I feel like this also would change the game quite a lot in aerial combat. Next, resources of losing player are automatically sent to members of the team with the highest transfer percentage. Now, I don't know what this exactly means. It probably means like the person who gave the most will receive the resources. So, for example, if I give all, since I'm the one giving all the resources to players, then whoever, so say if someone on my team dies or loses, then all the resources will go to me. I'm guessing that's what that means, because it does say highest transfer percentage, so that means, I guess it's whoever gives more. So I guess this would actually be a very big change in how people give resources, because there's a lot of times where people just refuse to give resources. They refuse to give up what they have because they have their own strategies in mind. So it would really make players want to give more, so that way if one of the teammates loses, they'll get the resources. Then again, you're also hoping for your teammate to lose, but oh well. Any player can be removed during private match preparation phase. So I guess it's to remove someone that, say, maybe someone annoys you, you can just remove them from the match instead of having to set a brand new code up. I don't really think this will be much use, because if you're setting up a private match, that means you want that person to play. But okay. Okay, next is the interface. Added original camera direction restore button. Okay. Added underwater enemy sighting indicator in the unit properties window. I'm guessing that's for ships, mainly for ships and water in sea. Added a notification on getting resources from another player. Now, I haven't seen this because I've always been the one giving resources rather than the one getting resources. But I feel like this would also be a good change, because I feel like this is a good change because it allows you to realize you to think, say, okay, I got some resources from this player. So yeah, this should be good. If a unit cannot be trained because the required buildings are missing, it will be shown in the creation interface. Now I feel like that is really good update, or really good, yeah, really good update, because it allows you to realize, oh, I need this. Now it does. Now I will say that it's not a very useful one, because it kind of already, because the game will already kind of tell you that you can't build this unit until you have this building. You just hover over it, but I guess it works either way. It maybe teaches the new players, more new players, that you need this building, so it kind of helps them out. The next is the interface. Now the interface added bug fixes, not interface. Next one is cannot train a worker in Wonder of Japan. Now I don't have Japan. I do plan on getting it very soon, as soon as I get the tech points required. But I feel like that that would be a good fix. I didn't know that was a thing. Clicking on a player in chat often opens another player's window. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing. The ship turrets keep firing at the submarine when it has submerged. Again, I think that's also for Japan. Mainly, I know you can get submarines, but I've rarely ever get submarines. It's a very late game thing, and it's only used for, I guess, the most drastic, because most people get just the torpedo boat, not really the submarine, and then other errors. Next is the visual changes. New appearance for Bronze Age, Medieval, Industrial, Revolution wonders of the world. Alright, just new appearances. Pretty cool. It really does. I really like the variety. I don't like to see the same thing over and over again. Many other countries' houses have received a variety of looks. I thought that was already a thing, but they could have just, like, updated it a little bit. The time on the clock of the City Hall of the Russian Empire shows the USSR /USSR shows the correct time. That's actually pretty funny. It actually, like, so if you zoom in on the clock of the Russian Empire, it actually shows the correct time in Russia. So I thought that was kind of funny and kind of cool at the same time. The fact they would just add it in that little tidbit. They didn't have to, and no one would probably notice, but the fact that, you can just look at the Russian clock and realize, oh, hey, is this time in Russia? Next is the balance. Now, this is really big. Now, this is where, when we get to the balance section, it really changes on how players will play the game, because of the drastic changes the developers made in this game. First, we're going to start with the extra bed and home upgrade. Medieval increases from 1,000 to 2,000 food, and research time increased from 80 seconds to 120 seconds. And same thing with Asia and Industrial Revolution, except the amount is slightly different. So it's 750 to 180 for Asia, and then Industrial Revolution is 1,000 to 300. Now that's actually really big, because it's already hard to get the extra home upgrade when you're hurting for food and fighting at the same time. So that's actually huge. It will make people actually think, because if you try to do any early game attacks, you have to win, because if you don't win, you won't, like, you're gonna be struggling for resources later down the line, especially food, because it's mainly what it requires. And the fact that it requires extra research time, whoever's has the most workers is going to end up getting more research, getting it faster. Also expect more players to actually beat Asia, because it doesn't require that much food. It requires 200 less food. And in Industrial, it's 3,000 food instead of 1,000. Now again, that's huge. It's hard enough as it is to get the food required to get this upgrade in the beginning. And to actually increase it, the game would actually be longer than it should be, because people will be fighting for that population. Spacious houses upgrade, Industrial Revolution, price increase from 3,000 to 5,000. Okay, that's for the more like India and China, I suppose. Because they have the extra pop upgrade. They do have it's tradition large families, I believe. but I think that's what this means. It does. I mean, it does say spacious houses, but then again, the fact it says extra bed home, there's 2 Industrial Revolution price changes, so I guess this one means that it just for the Asia and India, which requires traditional large families. Next one, the gunpowder upgrade added damage increased to 3 from 3 to 5. All right, not that bad. It really did. I really do believe the gunpowder update needed a more damage because it really wasn't worth it. You would get it and then you would have to sit there for days just waiting for them to fire that volley, and you needed a lot of them to actually do any real damage. And they were incredibly weak melee units too, so it's really good the fact that they increase the damage. Next is the early ages. We're going to start with early Europe. The spearmen, the training time reduced from 25 to 22 seconds. All right, we're gonna start seeing a lot more spear rushes because it really didn't take that long to get some spearmen, but the fact that sometimes players would build dozens of barracks to get that amount you needed. So you're probably gonna see maybe 1-2 less barracks required to get the perfect spear amount that you would require. Next is the heavy spearmen. Now this is big. I did read this whole thing earlier. This is really, really big. Heavy spearmen training time reduced from 32 to 28 seconds. No longer required to train quilted skin, but requires Iron Age. Now you always required Iron Age, but the fact that you no longer required quilted skin, that is huge because most players did not get the quilted skin upgrade because it took too long. It was no point. By the time you reached the next age, you would already have the more advanced units like swords and the Legion. There was no point of getting the quilted skin. And the normal spearmen would just do just as good. Now the fact that you no longer need it, and you could spam out heavy spearmen, we're going to see a lot of spearmen attacks more often. Next is axemen training time reduced from 35 to 30 seconds. Price change from 75 food, 25 materials, and 35 metal. From 80 food, 40 materials, and 20 metal. So the food increased and the materials increased, but the metal did not increase. So yeah, we're probably gonna start seeing a little bit more because the one thing that really did hurt was the metal for the axemen. It really did just ruin you. The food and materials increase that can easily be solved with extra workers on those production. Next is barracks quilted skin removed. Yeah, as expected. Next is early Asia. Spearman reserve time reduced from 32 to 29 seconds. Yeah, that's really, really good. That is really good in my opinion. A whole 3 seconds. Wait, what? Yeah, around 3-4 seconds. That is really, really big because while you could already spam out dozens of spearmen in early Asia, it still required you to wait and to actually remember that your reserves are ready. And then next is heavy spearmen reserve time, 40 to 35 seconds. No longer required quilted skin to train, but requires Iron Age. Again, same thing as Europe. And barracks quilted skin removed. Again, we're gonna start seeing a lot more Asian countries popping up just for the spearmen because it requires a lot less time and resources to train them. Well, actually, it requires more time to train the spearmen than it does Europe, but Asia has the reserve, so if you just wait a little bit, you could spam out huge armies incredibly fast. Next, we're going to start with medieval Europe. We're going to start with Western Europe. Musketeers, Grenadiers, Dragoons no longer require smoothbore weapons, but do require late medieval and a forge. That is huge. Most players did not get the smoothbore weapons. It took too long, and you also needed other upgrades to actually make them effective. But I have used the Grenadiers and the Dragoons a few occasions, not many times. But those units are actually incredibly powerful if you can utilize them correctly. And the fact you no longer needed smoothbore weapons, that is huge because now you can just immediately get them. Forged smoothbore weapon removed, of course, and cannon now upgraded to howitzer. All right, I can definitely see that. The fact you can upgrade the cannon to howitzer before you couldn't. So it's kind of a neat upgrade. Now there's actually a point. Now what's funny? Now there's actually a point to building cannons, because before the only time you get cannons if you were actually sieging an opponent. But now that you actually upgrade them, you're gonna start seeing a lot more cannons on the field. Eastern Europe, musket. Okay, same thing with Western Europe. You no longer need the smoothbore weapons, and the upgrade is removed. Cossacks and damage increase from 9 to 10. All right, I don't use Cossacks. I prefer the Hussars and the Light Knights. Halberdier damage increase 7 to 10. Time between attacks increased from 0.8 to 1 second 0.2. Maximal attack distance increased from 10 to 12. Minimal attack increased from 0 to 8. Deals area damage. Now, that's actually useful. We're gonna probably start seeing a lot more halberdiers on the field. It deals area damage. That means that one halberdier is surrounded by units. You can probably hit 3 at a time. So that's actually really cool. Cannon now upgraded to howitzers. All right. Next, we're gonna go with Asian medieval. The Bashibuzruk, I don't know how to say that, and the Elephant Bashibuzruk. For those you don't know, those are the gunpowder units of West Asia. So if you ever use the elephant, there is like musket elephants where there's instead of archers on their backs, it's musketmen. Training no longer requires smoothbore weapons, it requires late medieval, and having 3 firing ranges. You actually require a set amount of firing ranges. That's interesting. Before you didn't need that. Alright, probably going to start seeing a lot more gunpowder units then. Or a lot less maybe actually, because the fact you require 3 firing ranges. Now, most Asian countries usually do have that many firing ranges. Depending on their strategy. But the fact that now it's actually required, it's going to be interesting. Shooting range smoothbore weapon has been removed. Alright. Tower, damage increase from 12 to 14. Alright, not that bad. I mean, Asian towers, the West Asian towers were already powerful to begin with, but now they're having a damage increase. Damage to buildings reduced from 12 to 5. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for a little bit. From damage to buildings reduced from 12 to 5. That's actually very useful for a European player, because those West Asian towers were incredibly good at dealing damage to structures. It was just really annoying. And so the fact that they reduced the damage from 12 to 5 is actually very good for any European players. Ogland can be upgraded to Cavalryman. Okay. Sip pack. Price of Cavalryman reduced from 325 food and 25 materials to 225 food and 25 materials. That we're gonna see a lot more Sipha. Basically, they're the camel units. We're gonna start seeing them a lot more. The fact that their food got reduced, and it was already, I guess, well, it actually wasn't bad because it's just upgrading to Cavalryman. Price of upgrade to Cavalryman reduced. So, I mean, we're probably starting to see a lot more upgrading, but then again, I prefer the sip pack over the Cavalryman. Cavalryman does go faster, but this health is kind of low. Same with Mameluke. Mameluke upgrade price of Cavalryman reduced from 250 to 150 food. Not that bad. Not that bad. And cannon can now be upgraded to howitzer. All right. Next is East Asia. Now let's see. Arquebusiers and dragoons no longer require smoothbore weapons, but do require late medieval in the presence of 3 firing ranges. Okay, same thing as West Asia. Shooting range for smoothbore weapons was removed. Okay. Horse archery may be upgraded to cavalryman. Okay. Ronin, upgrade price cavalryman reduced. Same thing, 300 from 300 food to 200 food. That's the only thing that changed. And mounting samurai price upgrade to cavalryman reduced from 150 food to 50 food. Again, I prefer the samurai over the cavalryman. Again, the cavalryman is stronger, but I prefer the samurai because it's who doesn't want to mount a samurai? Next is the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution. Anti-aircraft guns. Okay, we're getting to the new units, interesting parts. Anti-aircraft gun damage increased from 50 to 60. Okay. Anti-aircraft heavy gun. Oh wait, this is. Oh wait, no, this is the actual stationary ones, not the car. Okay. Increased from 50 to 70. Okay, that's big too, because the anti-aircraft guns, it was much easier just to get a ton of units and then just like machine gun units and then just like line them up and wait for any balloons or aircraft to show up. And the fact that now the guns are actually useful. Now again, the anti-aircraft guns were always useful against air units, but you needed a lot of them to actually take down one effectively, and it's in a short amount of time too. Howitzer damage increased from 220 to 240. Okay, movement speed decreased from 40 to 35. As if it wasn't slow enough. Minimum attack distance increased from 50 to 70. Health decreased from 300 to 260. Not bad update for the howitzer. Not a bad update. I feel like it's balanced. Although could have just cut out the movement speed. It was already slow as it was. Armored car armor on average increased from 22.2 to 27. That's actually useful because the armored car, again, it was useful, but only with dealing with light infantry. It was virtually useless against any form of anti-armored unit or any like massed armor unit. I'm sorry, massed infantry unit. So the fact they increased the armor on it is useful. Light tank armor increased from 30 to 35.5. I feel like they could have left this out. The light tank was already good as it was. It didn't need to increase it. Soldier price reduced from 200 food, 100 materials, and 25 metal to 150 food, 100 materials, and 20 metal. Alright. Not that bad. Not that bad. The soldier was pretty expensive in my opinion when they reduced it a little bit. Light bomber range increased from 60 to 70 seconds. Ooh. Ooh, that's actually good. The light bomber it had a good distance, but its fuel would just go down so fast. Light fighter range increased from 75 to 90 seconds. Alright. Not many people use the fighter because you really had to like be perceptive when you found any other bombers. Ranger inter-attack time by aircraft increased from 3.8 to 4 seconds. Damage by aircraft decreased from 19 to 18 seconds. Okay, so the Ranger is better against dealing with enemy aircraft. Next, we're going to move on to the various countries. Now, keep in mind, I don't know, some of the countries I don't have, so I don't really know how they are. But we're going to start with Turkey, which I do have. Sniper, increase of avian damage percentage from 2 to 5%. Increase of time between attacks increased from 3.5 to 4 seconds. Decrease of aviation damage from 19 to 18 seconds. Alright. So they're going to be a lot more effective in dealing with enemy aircraft. Light cannon, damage increased from 150 to 160. Movement speed decreased from 45 to 40. and the minimum attack distance is increased from 50 to 70. That's actually useful. Like the light cannon range used to be really long, and they shortened it, and now it's back to being good again. Now the light cannons actually has a long range. Now Turkey is very much focused on the long-ranged units. It had a very low health. Health decreased from 300 to 240. Yeah, right there. Again, the light cannon had a very low health and could easily be destroyed by any form of cavalry or any form of light assault. So the fact that now they increased the range on it and damage is very useful for the light cannon. Zambaruk, damage increased from 100 to 120. Time between attacks increased from 8 to 10 seconds maximum. Attack distance decreased from 220. Decreased from 220 to 200. All right. Damage again needed some fixing. In my opinion, the Zambaruk was powerful, and they just made it a little more powerful. But now the time between attacks is increased from 8 to 10 seconds. We're probably going to see a lot less Zambaruk attacks. I mean, again, Zambaruk was already powerful, and still is to this day. But the time between attacks was always so long, and the fact now it's 10 seconds instead of 8 seconds. We're going to start seeing a lot more. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. The Zambaruk is probably going to be used a lot more in actual raids, like how they were meant to be. They were meant for. Zambaruk was really much a hit and run unit. It was not something you just threw at the enemy. And the attack distance decreased from 220 to 200. All right, I mean, doesn't really affect it that much. While it doesn't decrease the range, Zambaruk again was a mobile unit and could easily just chase whatever it needed to do or get away from it. Next is Russia. The City Hall added improvement to increase territory in the Second Industrial Revolution. All right. Added improvement to increase territory, so that means it. Wait, Second Industrial Revolution. Does that mean there's another increased territory? Wait, so that means you could always get the improvements to increase territory in the first one. Now you can get it in the second one, or did they just move it? I have to look into that. The Scythe of Death, or the Death Scythe. Movement speed reduced from 45 to 40, and health reduced from 300 to 40. I feel like they could have left that out. Honestly, the Death Scythe was already weak as it was. While it was powerful, it was already as weak and slow as it could be. They didn't need to fix that. The rocket launcher. Time between attacks reduced from 50 to 40 seconds, and health increased from 300 to 500. Because yes, that is something that actually needed to happen. The attack time was so long. It took forever for that rocket launcher for Russia. So long to not only reload and rearm and then fire at the unit. You just before, the rocket launcher was very, very much a unit you didn't use from the fact it took so long. It could be so easily destroyed. Okay, next we're moving for France. The FT-17 armor on average increased from 20 to 30 seconds, and time between attacks from 5.2 to 5 seconds. Not that big of a deal, but okay. The Anchor aircraft carrier reserves 1 Farman Goliath. Wait, is the aircraft carrier actually useful now? Are you telling? Oh, hold on. Heavy Anchor aircraft carrier reserves 1 D50, D520, and 1 POTUS. Does it actually have reserved units now? Does that mean you can actually spawn units on the aircraft here? Because before you had to purchase it from the airbase and then fly it, and then purchase another one, then fly that one off of the aircraft base and onto the aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier was completely useless because it would only reserve 2, and you had to actually spawn 2 from one airbase to actually utilize the aircraft carrier. And if the aircraft carrier went down, all your planes went down with it. So the fact that you can reserve units on it, now that Now France is actually something. I always gave France shit. Thank God for the devs making France decent. They actually made France, if this is true, and you can spawn units on the aircraft carrier, it's decent now. France is still, in my opinion, a horrible nation to play. But it's actually decent now. They fixed the aircraft carrier. Next, we're going to have with India. Wheeled tank armor on average increased from 30.5 to 33.4. Speed increased from 55 to 65. Alright, so they just they really buffed the wheeled tank. Armor and speed. I feel like the wheeled tank was already as fast as it could be, though. From 55 to 65. I guess that's as fast as basically the armored car was. And the armor on it, again, the armor really did need some, because the wheeled tank could go down really easy. The sick can build a warehouse. Wow, so the basic units can actually build a warehouse now. I don't know how useful that would be, though. Honestly, I don't know how useful that'd be. Like, I guess yes, if you have infantry and then you need to build some stuff fast, it would be useful. But I don't know how useful a unit would be building a warehouse. I mean, when you get to this point, you don't really need to build any more warehouses. You can have the workers nearby to build the warehouse. So I guess we're gonna start seeing strategies. Maybe it'd be a good deception tactic, like build a bunch of warehouses here. Maybe we can build. Well, maybe you can actually use them to build walls. I don't know how useful that would be, though. Like maybe the Skix could use warehouses and build a kind of a warehouse wall. It'd be kind of funny. Tiger added damage from training improvement increased from 3 to 5. All right, no one actually uses a tiger in India. No one does. I think I've seen it once actually being utilized. But the fact that it increased the damage now. All right, not bad, not bad. Next, we're gonna move to Britain. Dock added improvement that significantly increases the speed of fish and the size hold of the barge. That's actually useful. That's actually very, very useful. The fact you increased the fishing for Europe. Europe didn't have that upgrade for industrial. They never had the fishing upgrade for industrial. They had it for medieval, but that was it. Next is the tank Brombus. Armor on average increased from 37 to 39. Again, I felt like they could have left that out. The tank Brombus already had good armor and a large amount of health, so in my opinion, I think they should have kept it at 37. Again, to Great Britain players, I guess this is like a godsend to you, but to me, I felt like tank Brombus didn't really need it. Next is the Holy Fox. Health reduced from 100 to 900. I felt like, again, they should have just left that the same from 1000, because the Holy Fox had a lot of health. It was really, really good. But in my opinion, the health really needed to stay the same, because it took so long to not only build, but the resources required to build it. The Holy Fox was a really good unit. But if it went down, you had to wait for so long to rebuild the Holy Fox, and the resources required to it, which is not really worth it. Time between air defense machine gun attacks increased from 2.5 to 3 seconds. Okay. I guess that's good. So the only thing here's the thing that would require not many people use fighters to defend against aerial attacks. It was simply not used. You had to not only see them coming, you then have to then you had to send your fighters out to intercept them. By the time it intercepted, the bomber would have already turned around and went back to its own territory, where you would have almost certainly lose your fighter. Air defense weapon damage reduced from 20 to 18. Alright. Not that bad. Oh, this video is taking forever. We're almost done. Germany. Cannon Colossal. Time between attacks reduced from 10 to 8 seconds. Projectile dispersion reduced from 11 to 8%. And damage increased from 300 to 400. Not a very useful update. While it doesn't decrease the time between attacks and does increase the damage, the fact that it had reduced dispersal, the Cannon Colossal was not a good unit, or not a good structure actually. It took forever to not only build, if you lost it, it was just not worth it. So yeah. Tank Mouse, damage increased from 200 to 300, time between attacks increased from 12 to 16, and minimal attack distance increased from 50 to 70. That's actually pretty big for the Tank Mouse. It's actually a pretty big update. The mouse is the strongest unit or was it the strongest unit? Again, I don't have Germany. I think the mouse was like the biggest and largest unit you can get, but it was also incredibly expensive. The ME262. Damage increased from 160 to 180, and price decreased from 400, 100, and 140 to 400 food, 800 materials, and 120 metal. That's actually could be useful for German players. So if you play Germany a lot, think about that. The price has been reduced and the damage has been increased. So we're probably going to see a lot more 262s. Next is Japan. Dock and improvement has been added, greatly increasing the speed of fish and the size of the hold of the longboat. Alright. So it's basically the same thing as Europe, which has the improvement upgrade. And the jet fighter JAM1, reduced projectile area size and range increased from 40 to 45 seconds. Price reduced 400, 100, 120 to 400, 800, and 900. Alright. Not that bad. China. Howitzer damage increased from 220 to 240. Movement speed reduced. This is the last country, by the way. Movement speed reduced from 40 to 35. And minimum attack distance increased from 50 to 70. Health reduced from 300 to 260. Okay. I would have kept the howitzer the same. I wouldn't have reduced anything. The howitzer for China was useful, but it was basically you had to buy a country for it. I'm sorry, you had to go to China to get the foreign supply center and then buy a country for it. I don't feel like they should have decreased anything. Sure, they increased the damage, but I think they probably fixed this to add with the other howitzers, so it kind of balances out with the other countries. But okay, but everything China had was reduced from what it actually was, from the actual unit. Armored car, average increase from 22 to 0.2 to 27. Light tank increased, the armor increased 30 to 35. Type R armor increased to 37 to 39, and Type F2 increased to 28 to 30.5. Alright, so again, they're just making everything balanced with the other countries. And I feel like that is good for China because it took forever to get armored units in China. It was very much like a late game thing. While yes, you could buy maybe one country and spam out some howitzers. It was something you had to do fast, or it was something is late game. So that has been my discussion video. Tell me what you think on this about this video, and tell me if you think I should do more. And I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment. And I'll see you all on the next update.